Good day, everyone, and welcome back to part two of my series, The Miseducation of Little Ashawn X. So, I'm just going to continue where I left off. Again, when I was in primary school, that's what we call it in the Caribbean, I had a lot of questions: who I was, where did I come from, why are we here? A lot of questions that no one seemed to know the answer to. So I was always told that you ask too many questions or be quiet. I was always told that as a child. So as I got older, and I want to say maybe around 8, 9 years old, I experienced a tragedy in my life, and not anyone passing away or anything like that, but the big A. And if you know what that means, you know what that means. I'm going to include the word on the screen, but YouTube is very funny, so I can't say the word. So, like many of you, I experienced that in my life. And I'm not going to say it was because of my parents not being there. I'm going to say because they weren't there enough. So, because of that, I don't know, I buried a lot of that big A because I did not know how to cope with that. I did not know how to express myself and let someone know that I was dealing with that. And I encourage anyone who's dealing with that, reach out to someone. Don't keep it to yourself. Because as I tell my story, you will understand how it affected me in so many ways. So I dealt with that as a child growing up. So about it started young. I remember my mom saying that I reported it to her and they confronted that person, but it happened on numerous occasions, not with that particular person, but with other people. And I suppressed a lot of that because I was ashamed. Really and truly, I was ashamed. And with suppressing that, I internalized a lot of things. Still with the questions of where is God? Like, where is God in all of this? Where is, they tell us to pray. They say that be a good person, be obedient, do what's right, all of these things they tell you as a child, but yet still something so tragic happens to you and you cannot even voice it to anyone because you as a child feel shame for what an adult has done to you. And in the book of Matthews, it literally says that anyone adult that misleads a child, a millstone should be put around their neck and they should be drowned in the ocean. And I'm going to include that scripture there. So if any of you have experience or is experiencing the big A, reach out to someone. Don't keep it to yourself, because if you keep it to yourself, it tends to disperse in other ways, that you just do a lot of crazy things as you get older and you don't understand why you're doing those things. So let's move past that. That I dealt with as a child, but eventually I moved past it. So my mother left our island of St. Lucia and she came to America. And mind you, I've been coming to America since I was 5 years old because my father used to travel all the time and he would always bring my sister and myself with him. So I used to travel way before my mom. So basically, after my mom left, you can say that I became a foster child. I lived with about 5 or 6 families, and I want to say that the families were good to me. And as I got older, I appreciated more what they did for me, because when I was in the situation, I couldn't understand why, you know, I would live with a family for a little bit, and then they would say, "Oh, nope, she can't stay with us anymore." Then I would go with another family, and then I was a good kid growing up. The only two things that I used to suck my thumb and I used to wet the bed occasionally. And now that I'm older, I'm understanding that wetting the bed probably came from the trauma that I experienced earlier on in my life that I suppressed. And that was just another way that the body was just dealing with the trauma that I experienced. So, I want to talk about one particular person that I lived with. So, that's the last person I lived with before I came to live in America at the age of 14 or 15, or going on 15. That person, she was very kind to me. I really enjoyed living with her. It's crazy because we have the same birthday, like, and she's a good person. In her heart, she's literally a good person. But on one occasion, I remember I was coming from choir. It was in the month of December, and we had a choir practice. It wasn't a practice. It was actually, we attended this festival in the church, and I was in the choir, so I was participating. When they let us go, I had to walk through this place called the Gardens. Now, I can include a photo of the gardens there. When I visited St. Lucia recently, it's changed. It's not the same way as it used to be before. But back then, when I was growing up, the gardens, there was a gate. So it connected to, you could go through the gardens to get to another area. And I walked through the gardens and I was going to my home. Unbeknownst to me, somebody was following me. So I'm walking and I'm not, I've done this so many times. So I'm not paying attention to anybody. I'm not thinking that anybody would want to do anything to me because I've done this so many times. So I'm walking through, and somebody saw me walking through and he started following me. And somebody saw him following me and she started following him. Tell me this is not the Most High, y'all. So I'm walking, and in the gardens, there's a fork in the road. So one part goes left and one part goes right. When I got to the fork in the road, she I stopped. She was like, "Sweetheart, can I speak to you?" So, I stopped and I looked. 'Cause, I'm a good kid. I'm pleasant. And I'm like, "Yes." And she's like, "Do you know that there was a man following you?" And I was like, "No, I didn't know." And then I seen through my peripherals that he went into the bushes. He went and hid himself in the bushes. And she was like, "Sweetheart, don't you ever walk in the gardens at this time by yourself." And I was like, "Okay, I won't do it again." And I was so grateful. And then she walked off, and I never seen this woman. I can't tell you what her face looked like. I can't tell you her body. If I saw this person today, I would not be able to tell you who they were, what they looked like. And I gave the story time. I have a story time that, I spoke about that situation, but just a recap of one of the events that happened in my life that I knew was not normal. Now, then I did not think much of it because I'm like, "Oh, okay, somebody probably, she was probably just walking in the gardens, herself and going wherever she was going." So I did not take it for anything. I went home that night, went to sleep, and forgot about it until years later when it came back to visit me. But I will let you know about that in the next part. So that was one of the major events that happened in my life that still, I did not question whether it was the Most High or not. Mind you, when I was leaving with this last person, she made me make my first communion. Not because I wanted to, But because she was like, "You didn't make your first communion?" And I said, "No, I'm not Catholic." And she was like, "Well, anybody that's living in my household, excuse me, need to make their first communion." So she made me make my first communion. Mind you, I did not even know why I was making my first communion, because I did not grow up Catholic. I did not grow up religious, in a religious type of setting. Yes, I would have Bible study. So every person that I have lived with was of a excuse me, of a different religion. So some of them were Seventh-day Adventists, some of them were Jehovah Witness, some of them was Catholic, some of them was Anglican. So I went to different churches. I studied different things about the Most High. So I was always aware that God existed. The Most High is there. I did not know him as the Most High then. I know him as God. And I never really embraced the fact that, okay, he is a living God, like breathing, seeing, hearing, loving. I just thought that, oh, it's just someone in the sky, and yeah, we pray and whatever. We just have to do it, right? It's just something that you do. I did not understand the fact that the Most High Yah is a living, breathing, feeling, seeing, hearing God, or Elohim, or the Most High, or Yah. I did not know that when I pray, if I pray with my heart, my mind, my soul, my strength, that the Most High would hear me and receive me. I did not understand who or what the Most High expected. Like, I did not know, because I was just following the doctrines of man. Whatever this family said that God is, that's what God was to me. Whatever that family said God was, that's what God was to me. So I did not understand who our Father was. Without that understanding, how would I understand who I was and where did I came from? I knew about the commandments because that was something that was definitely preached to me as a child. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit adultery. I knew about these things, and I embraced that. I knew that I never wanted to hurt anybody. I did not want to steal, even though, like, I remember I used to steal pens. I was a pen thief, allegedly. So if I went somewhere and they gave a pen, like, hey, sign your signature with the pen, I would like just take the pen. I don't know. I had like a really bad habit of just wanting to collect pens. I don't know what happened. That was just a really crazy time in my life. But again, I did not know who our Father was, and I had so many questions. But that did not stop me from being a rebel. It really didn't stop me, because I did not know who our Father was. I was not able to embrace the truth and follow the right rulings, the laws, and I did follow the commandments. So I was, but not to the T. I never killed nobody. I did not steal from anybody, allegedly. And I honored my mother and my father. I loved my neighbor as myself. But I did not know how to love the Most High with all my mind, all my strength, all my heart. I did not know. I did not know how to do that. And I thought I was doing that by just being a good person. Like, oh, I'm a good person, so I'm going to go to heaven. Because in all the religions that I have been to, the main concept was, hey, you got to be a good person to go to heaven. It did not say you got to follow the Most High laws, right rulings. You have to know Yahusha, which you guys call Jesus, but his name is Yahusha. and I did not understand who Yahusha was. Just so many things that I did not understand as a child growing up, and nobody was willing to explain it to me, and I'm guessing they did not know themselves. So again, with some foundation of knowing that I need to be a good person, I need to follow the rules, I embodied that. And it came the time when I had to leave my sweet, sweet country of St. Lucia and migrated to the United States of America. And when I came to the United States of America, it was a whole different ball game. And I will have to continue in part 3, because at the age of 15, I came here and I started high school. And America, when they said it is the belly of the beast, it is the belly of the beast. Am I grateful for the lessons that I learned here in America? I am definitely grateful. Do I regret anything? Absolutely not, because in regretting, I would not be the person I am today, and I would not be able to tell you my story today and hope that you can learn from my story, or you can take some parts of it and embrace it. So in part 3, I will give you an explanation of, just my high school years in America and how it changed me to become who I am today. So the story is the miseducation of Miss Ashawn X, right? Little Ashawn X, the miseducation. So the miseducation starts with telling me that my ancestors were slaves, but not really giving me the background information of why we were slaves. Telling me that I need to pray, follow God, but not telling me who God is and what God expects of us. And also just not really telling me the truth of who I was and where did I come from. And I'm guessing maybe they did not know themselves, because a lot of people don't try to find the truth, or they said the Most High calls many, but few are chosen. So maybe they were called, but they weren't chosen for the truth to be revealed to them. So this is my truth that I will continue to give. If you have experienced this in your life, where you question where you came from, who you were, who God is, what God is, where God is, and you're a melanated person, even if you're a non-melanated person and you always had these questions, leave a comment below. Let me know if you felt the same way. I'm sure I'm not the only one that had questions as a child growing up. So let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget, if you haven't already, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will link the first part up above if you want to check it out, which you should, because if you don't, then you will be a little bit confused. You can check it out and leave a comment, leave a like, let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you've ever had an experience where something phenomenal happened to you and you just could not put a grasp on it, just leave a comment, leave it down below. Let's start a conversation and share our stories. So thank you for listening, and I hope you have a blessed day.